What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and today I'm bringing you a guide on how to use Garganacl in competitive Pokemon. It's one of the coolest new rock types that have been released in a long time, and I'm super excited to be using this thing. If you guys are excited for the video, then do me a favor and leave a like on the video. We're aiming for 75 likes on today's content. Make sure to comment your thoughts on Garganacl down in the comments below for your chance to name the winner of the comment of the day and have your comment appear on screen right about now. And of course, subscribe to the channel as well. We just recently passed 3,000 subscribers, and now we're aiming for 4. Thank you guys for the support. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Starting off with its stats, the distribution is really amazing. I like it a lot. It's 100 base HP, 100 attack, 130 defense, 45 special attack, 90 special defense, and then 35 speed. Overall, 500 base stats. That's pretty good. For what the typing is, for what the abilities are, the stat distribution really does a good job. This is not a special attacker by any means, and the fact that it's slow is fine. Basically, to me, I rank this Pokemon as having 5 stats, ignoring the special attacks, and the speed stat really doesn't matter too much. Moving on to its typing, it is pure rock, which is fine. Honestly, it's not the best, it's not the worst. I think there's a couple of key resistances that it gets that are really valuable. It's weak to fighting, grass, ground, steel, and water, and has resistances to fire, flying, normal, and poison. Now, 3 of those resists are very important. Resisting fire, flying, and normal is extremely valuable. All 3 of those types are very offensive, and as long as you can take a hit from them, you can pivot out into a better Pokemon to be able to take hits a bit better. This Pokemon also just happens to be immune to Sandstorm, which is nice, and it gets a 1.5 times buff to its special defense in Sandstorm, which is really useful depending on what you're going up against. As for its abilities, it has 2 good ones and 1 really good one. Purifying Salt is a new ability that is exclusive to the Garganacl line. Basically, what it is this Pokemon is immune to status conditions. Can be toxic, can be burnt, can be put to sleep, can be paralyzed. So big. On top of that, it also reduces the damage that ghost type attacks will be doing to you. So that's cut in half. If you're going up against a Gengar, a Shadow Ball will only do half the damage it would normally do, basically meaning you essentially have another ghost resist on your team. Really valuable. Honestly, if you have a Pokemon like Garganacl on a draft league team, for example, you can just get away with having a dark type. You don't need to have a normal type on your roster because you have the Garganacl around to be able to help you handle ghost type Pokemon. Then there's Sturdy, which is a really nice ability to have to make sure that you can at least take 1 hit from something. If you're really worried about a close combat from a Slitherwing or a wave crash from a Pallet in hero form, then obviously you want to make sure you're able to take that hit, so Sturdy is going to be your option. So you can either get up the hazard with the Stealth Rock, or you can do big damage to something like a Body Press against an opposing Pokemon. All those things are really useful to have with Sturdy. Then there's Clear Body, which is the worst of the abilities, but it's still a really solid ability to have overall. Because number 1, it gives you an immunity to Intimidate, which is really nice. But on top of that, if you're dealing with a Pokemon like an Espathra, for example, that's going for a Lumina Crash, that Pokemon has a move that'll basically reduce your special defense by 2 stages every time it goes for it. Clear Body will stop that from happening. That's super useful. And if you guys want to learn more about Espathra, then check out the video I posted yesterday on it. Overall, its abilities are good, but I think its move pool is really useful for what it wants to do. It has the physical move Salt Cure, which is an exclusive move to this Pokemon's line. It's a 40 base power physical rock move that essentially is going to be acting like Whirlpool, but without the trapping. What it does is that every Pokemon that's been affected by Salt Cure will be taking 12.5% of their HP every single turn. And if they are a water or a steel type Pokemon, it's not going to be 12.5%, it's going to be 25%. A quarter of their HP gone every turn. And what's even more important about this is that even if you switch out or faint, the Salt Cure stays. It's until that Pokemon leaves. And that is so incredibly valuable to stop Pokemon from sweeping you outright. So I really like Salt Cure on this Pokemon. It also has Stone Edge for a bit more of a reliable attacking move. Obviously, it's 80 base accuracy, but it's a bit stronger. So on more offensive sets, you really want to be rocking with Stone Edge over Salt Cure. Earthquake is really good. Having Edgequake coverage in general is really nice. Edgequake being Stone Edge and Earthquake, very powerful. We then have Body Press off of 130 base defense, very powerful. Heavy Slam, really good. This Pokemon weighs a lot. Having Heavy Slam to be able to deal with Fairy type Pokemon, Ice type Pokemon, whatever the case might be, you have access to that over here to do a lot of damage. We then have all 3 elemental punches, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, all have a lot of usefulness depending on what you're going up against. Stealth Rock, one of the best things about this Pokemon is the fact that it gets rocks. It also has Recover for, well, general recovery, which is amazing. It's a rock type with recovery. I love that. And then lastly, it does have access to Iron Defense and Curse to boost its stats, which can be really useful in the right situation. Now let's talk about some of the best Pokemon to pair with Garganacl. I'm going to be splitting this section up into 2 because this video is not only going to be our how to use Garganacl guide, but it's also going to double as our draft analysis for the BBR, which is a draft league that's going up every single Sunday. So make sure to come back next week and check out our week 1 battle. But this Pokemon pairs extremely well with our first pick, which was Iron Valiant. The reason why Iron Valiant makes a lot of sense with this Pokemon is because it's an offensive breaker that resists fighting type attacks. You're able to break really effectively against basically anything in the format and really take advantage of the hazards that Garganacl provides. We also have Gholdengo, an amazing partner, because Gholdengo, number one, it basically stops any form of hazard removal, which is amazing because Garganacl loves to get up hazards. It's also useful because Salt Cure can weaken the waters and the steel types that would resist the Make It Rain coming from Gholdengo. On top of that, Gholdengo resists the grass and steel type attacks and is immune to the fighting type attacks, which is really, really nice. They share a common weakness in ground, but that's okay. This Pokemon pair really well together. Then we have Hydreigon. These Pokemon create a really good defensive synergy here. Obviously, Hydreigon being immune to ground is really nice for the Garganacl. Garganacl is weak to fighting and so is Hydra, but Hydra can run terastalizing types like Poison, for example, which would be resisting the incoming fighting type attacks. Amazing there. On top of that, they pivot really well together, and Hydreigon is a backup Ghost Resist. That way you don't always have to run Purifying Salt on the Garganacl. So I do like this combination a lot, defensively and also offensively as well. Then we have Sandy Shocks, which is good for two reasons, because number one, it forces in grass types and ground types. It also can break through opposing bulky waters, which is really nice for Garganacl. And at the same time, it offers a secondary hazard setter. Sandy Shocks gets access to spikes and to stealth rocks. Garganacl gets access to rocks, so now you don't have to always run the rocks on both of these Pokemon. You can choose which one you want to do every single week. Then we have Slowking. These Pokemon form another great pivoting core. Having access to Chilly Reception on Slowking to get out of dodge and then come in with something else is really useful. These Pokemon are also able to, for the most part, handle each other's weaknesses with the exception of Grass. But Grass you can handle later on in basically any team that you have because Grass offensively is not the best typing. So yeah, together with the regen and the hazards, they're able to basically chip down anything and form an amazing defensive core. Then there's Breloom. One of the reasons I like Breloom so much is because it's able to break past its opposing checks to Garganacl, and they share no common weaknesses as well. They also offer support to each other with the hazards and the spore support, so Garganacl can come in, recover up freely against something that was already asleep, that would already outspeed it normally. I also like Cyclizar a lot. If Shed Tail is legal, then it's obviously fantastic. In this situation here for this draft, Shed Tail is not legal, but you do have access to Rapid Spin, which is able to get rid of opposing hazards without getting rid of your own hazards that Garganacl is setting up. It still has access to U-turn, it still has access to knockoff support and able to break down things and get rid of heavy duty boots, which is really nice for what Garganacl wants to do every single week. Then there's Salazzle, which is really good to break opposing grasses. I mentioned that grass types are a big problem for the defensive core of Slowking and Garganacl. Salazzle is able to blow past them with ease. It's also able to break past opposing fairy types, which is definitely a weakness to a lot of different teams. And lastly, I have Glaceon here. Why? Well, number one, it's priority Ice Shard, but more importantly, it's able to break past opposing grounds, grasses, and waters with Freeze Dry. It does struggle with the fighting types and the steel types that Garganacl is weak to, but again, for such a low tier Pokemon, a weak Pokemon like Glaceon, you have a lot of utility that is provided with these two in combination. As for other Pokemon that I pair with Garganacl, Dondozo is really solid. Yes, they're both weak to grass. However, the fact that Dondozo has Unaware is able to allow you to basically set up your rocks, get up a Salt Cure, and then go into your Dondozo and take basically any hit you need to, which is really important. And you can just stall out your opponent with the Unaware fat Pokemon that is Dondozo. Then I have Garchomp here. One of the reasons why is because these two Pokemon can kind of do interchangeable things. One can be offensive, one can be defensive with Stealth Rocks, and I like that a lot. The fact that you don't have to have as much, I guess the word would be consistency among sets, is really nice. You can do whatever you want to do with each Pokemon, and that's really good. Garchomp also appreciates Garganacl wearing down opposing Pokemon like Corviknight with Salt Cure. Speaking of Corviknight, it is also a fantastic partner to pair with Garganacl because you have an amazing resist to basically every single type that Garganacl is weak to, and on top of that, it's able to get rid of opposing hazards that would chip down your own Garganacl, which is really nice. Of course, you don't want to get rid of your own hazards, but Corviknight is one of the best steel types in the game and is arguably the best hazard removal option in the game as well. Now, what are some of the best Terra types to have with Garganacl? Well, starting off with, obviously, we're going to see the stab option, Rock. Rock will be really good to boost the power of your Salt Cures so that instead of being 40 base power, they're a bit stronger than that. You're also really good at buffing up moves like your Stone Edge, so that really has a lot of advantage. I do think that Ghost makes a lot of sense too, because while you have the Purifying Salt, you're not actually weak to Ghost. You're going to be taking only 50% of that, which is really valuable, and you're now immune to fighting, which is really solid. Ghost is one of the best defensive and offensive types in the game, and having access to that is really nice defensively at least. And then I also believe that Ground makes a lot of sense too. Yes, you have a couple of common weaknesses to water and to grass, but I do believe that ground coverage is really good, and now that you get stab options on both the ground and the rock type attacks, you have a really powerful Edgequake combination, which is amazing offensively. Some of the best items to have on Garganacl are going to be, number one, in my opinion, the best item, Leftovers. This is so good for Pokemon that is really able to take advantage of a lot of different Pokemon. It's able to get passive recovery back. It also has the more active recovery with Recover, which is really nice. And having that little bit of extra recovery every turn will get you out of range of other Pokemon. So really nice there. I also think that Rocky Helmet is fantastic, especially on defensive sets, because this Pokemon is going to be taking a lot of U-turns, a lot of maybe flip turns from Pokemon that actually have it in this meta right now, which is not many, I know, but still, you're able to take hits and then chip down your opposing Pokemon, which is really useful. Heavy Duty Boots is really good because if you come in on the spikes and the stealth rocks, you're taking a lot of chip, and you don't really want to do that. So I'd rather have the boots on this set than not, especially on more defensive builds. You can really be interchangeable with leftovers versus heavy duty boots, and it just depends on, is there a 2 KO that you need to be able to survive if you could do that with leftovers, or are boots going to be the wave? It really depends on which option you want to go with. And lastly, the Choice Band. Choice Band is fantastic in more offensive builds, and this Pokemon can be offensive. Don't get it twisted. It is really, really solid in terms of what it can do offensively, so the band makes a lot of sense. Now let's take a look at some movesets that you could run with Garganacl. I do believe that a Garganacl with leftovers, of course, especially defensive with Salt Cure, Stealth Rock, Recover, and either Body Press or Protect is really good. I think a good Terra type on this Pokemon would be the ground typing specifically, and it's really solid offensively as well because of the Body Press. Then we have another specially defensive set here, except this one is more focused on setting up. We have the Iron Defense this time around to boost the power of the Body Presses, and it's a really solid special wall while also being a great physical wall. And I do think an amazing Terra type for this Pokemon is going to be the Ghost type this time around. Then for the next Garganacl set we're looking at a leftover set again, still more specially defensive. Salt Cure, Curse this time, Recover, and also Block. Block is really nice because if you're able to be really specially defensive, boost up yourself with curses, go for a Salt Cure, and then just recover things up while your opponent can't switch up, you can be in a really good position to just win the game outright. It's really nice to stall things out. Is it the best set? No, but it's still a really cool set to run nonetheless. And then lastly, for a Terra Rock type, I would go with the Choice Band. Adamant Nature, Max Attack, Max Speed this time around to outspeed some of these slower Pokemon in the format. Stone Edge, Earthquake, Ice Punch, and Explosion. And on this set here, Terra Rock works really well, but you can also look at Terra Normal to boost your Explosion even further. Now, the last thing we talk about in these guides are going to be some predictions for where I believe these Pokemon are going to end up in the different metagames. We talk about Smogon, VGC, and Draft League all in one. So starting off with Smogon, I believe this Pokemon will be OU. It could drop to UU following the DLC depending on what Pokemon get allowed, but it's an amazing hazard setter with reliable recovery, a really solid offensive typing, and an amazing ability against Ghost type Pokemon, which as the games progress and DLCs come out, there's going to be more and more Ghost type Pokemon around. Terastalization is really nice on a Pokemon like Garganacl, but it's not super mandatory, and because of that, even if it gets banned, I don't think it's going to be as affected by it as some other Pokemon would. Then for VGC is going to be an average to below average Pokemon. The reason being is, while it still is a good Pokemon overall, the issue that it has is in VGC, it's very slow, and right now we're in a very offensive and fast-paced metagame. Rocks are not as important in VGC, and having access to Sturdy does not do as much for you because of Fake Out, Redirection, double hitting moves, etc. All those things are really good in VGC. I do feel like while Wide Guard is a good thing that it does get access to, it's not going to see as much play because there are just better options in competitive Pokemon. And for that reason, VGC just won't be the format for Garganacl. It is definitely a singles Pokemon. As for Draft League, this is my specialty. On a 17 to 18 point scale, I believe this Pokemon will be around 8 to 11 points as a whole. Now, that's fine. It makes a lot of sense because it's going to be around for a long time. People are going to be drafting this, I think, forever because it has access to an amazing ability, an amazing set of abilities. It has access to hazards. It has access to a great typing that resists fire, flying, and normal, which are all really good offensively. And of course, is able to break through while having recovery options in Recover. And that is really, really nice. The issue I have with it is that there are going to be a lot of the time Pokemon that can prep around Garganacl, that can take advantage of its low speed, take advantage of the fact that it's typing offensively. While it is good, it's not the best there is. And because of that, it's going to fall to the 8 to 11 points tier. And that's all I've got for you guys today on Garganacl. If you guys enjoyed this video, then do me a favor and leave a like on the video to help us reach our like goal of 75 likes. Make sure to comment your thoughts on Garganacl down in the comments below, as well as which Pokemon you want to see covered next for your chance to be named the winner of the comment of the day and have your comment appear on the screen right about now. At the same time, while you're down there, make sure to subscribe as well to help us reach our goal of 4,000 subscribers. If you do like competitive Pokemon and competitive Pokemon battles, then make sure to tune back in every single Sunday where we're going to use the team that I showed on the screen in the teammates section and go over how to use Garganacl a bit more in depth, as well as those other Pokemon that are there. I want to give a big thank you to my buddy Tone for helping me write today's script. It is really appreciated. His link is down in the description, so make sure to go and check him out. I also want to give a big thank you to our channel members. Their support is extremely appreciated, and if you guys want to go the extra mile and support the channel financially, just like they did, click the join button on the screen. So shout out to our level 1s, which are going to be Liv, Eric, Zeke, and Texas Man. Our level 2 is Tone, and our level 3 is Sully. Thank you all for the support, and thank you all for watching as well. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.